Good evening. I'd like to welcome our tonight's council meeting. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Goodell?
Here.
Slater?
Here.
Scholl?
Here.
Rusher?
Here.
Davis?
Here. And we need a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Next up, we need a motion to approve the minutes of the October 5th, 2015 regular council meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Under communications, anything from the public in attendance this evening? If not, we'll move on to the People Service Monthly Report. No Clint, so do we need to, anything?
Do we want to go ahead and, I guess, table that?
We can-
Joe's here, so.
We can do that. Joe's here.
Hey.
Hey, Joe.
Welcome back, Joe.
Thanks.
All righty. Joe, you're up.
Oh, I'm up.
Update down the Sumner Avenue Bridge Memorial Plaques.
All right.
That was quick.
That was perfect timing. Thank you. All right, the only update is finally the plaques are shipping. I shouldn't say finally. But the plaques are shipping. They're going out tomorrow, and the plan is to have the plaques installed by the end of the month. So if we're planning on Veterans Day, we can do it. So that's really my report. I know that you guys probably have had a lot of questions, like, when is that thing gonna get done? And, you know,
I was surprised when I texted you the other night, stuff, and you texted back, your chip. Thanks, yeah. I thought, wow, that
So-
just turned out good, so.
yeah,
Who's gonna install them, Joe?
Mason Linhart.
Mason Linhart,
Yeah.
they're gonna take care of that for us.
Yep.
That's part of the overall cost of the
Yep.
project. It's included in.
Yep. So, and with that, the project should be wrapped up. It was a good project, so.
How'd you come out, did you come out ahead of budget, what you were thinking, Joe, or what?
It was real close.
Was it?
Yeah, by the time we get done, I think we'll end up somewhere between $1,000 and $0 left in the budget.
Mhm.
And we ended up close to 25,000 raised, so.
Money raised.
Awesome.
Yep.
It's really good.
And I saw the picture of the bridge with the lighting on the website. Looks
Oh,
really
yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
better than I thought it was gonna look.
You got the front end of that, so.
Trying to think of anything else that's going on with that little project. I think, that should wrap it up, so,
Cool.
Do you guys want to do an event with that, or do you want to wait till spring and weather changes? How do you want to, I mean,
Depends on the weather. It's still nice in the couple of weeks, no
Yeah.
big deal.
so, I can circle back and
Yep.
try and figure out, wait to see when they get up and everything, so.
all right.
Appreciate you doing this, Joe.
You bet.
This really was, good of you and stuff, and
Wasn't me, it
Take a
was,
lead.
all the community groups and everything, so,
Somebody had to take charge, though.
well, okay. All right, anything else?
Nope.
thank you, Joe.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate it.
I don't know, could we put that off to Memorial Day? That'd be a fantastic time to, whatever.
We don't make it work whenever we do it. Do we want to talk about people service and any problems at all there, or nothing there, and the deal look like everything's pretty standard and
No.
stuff anyway, so.
I didn't see anything that,
Jetting, no problems with jetting or anything?
no. Yeah, they're working on, doing their regular maintenance. They've got flushing coming up next week. They'll be flushing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so I put that out on Facebook already. I think we put it up on Channel 12 and a few other places.
Once you're closed.
Yeah. Well, they're doing it between 7 PM and 1 AM, and so that should help because the demand's lower. You're getting after, a lot of people are washing clothes and things like that, and so hopefully we can avoid some of those issues we've had in the past by doing it late at night, so.
Have we really had many problems though?
Honestly, we get more problems when the fire station was first installed. That's when we had a lot of problems, because then we were getting hammering that was knocking loose a lot. I haven't heard much recently. I don't know, Gloria, you probably hear, you know? So it hasn't been bad recently. You know, I think that it's been working pretty well. Probably, you know, I think some of the flushing hadn't been done completely for a long time.
No.
So, we're probably in better shape now than we were back when you first started doing the flushing a few years back, so.
Okay.
You always get one or two calls, but, you know, it's not a flood of them coming in. And there's certain areas, like, just that area around the fire station and Hy-Vee, you know, Taft, that whole area, that tends to have more problems. I don't know if it's the water just doesn't pull out of there as much, but that tends to be a problem spot. But the rest of the areas, normally we can flush and not cause as many issues.
Do we have any hydrants not working?
Oh, yeah, there's hydrants that don't work.
Okay.
Try and pick them off, but there's ones that, we've had a few that are leaky. There's some that we don't fix because, you know, even if they're a hydrant that, you know, is impossible to get open, if they're sitting on a 2-inch line, you can't use it for fire protection anyway. And so,
What's it mean when there's a bag over it?
it's a dead hydrant. Yeah.
That's the one down on
Yeah.
Taft and Fifth, and that it's gonna take that out, or? I mean, they put a new one along Fifth Avenue there,
Yeah.
but will that hydrant disappear?
Guessing that one's gonna have to.
That
go.
was on the old line, probably?
Yeah, it was on the old line. I haven't looked at that specifically, but, I know we did put a new one in, there for fire protection. A lot of times even the ones that are there are just incredibly inadequate if they're sitting on those 2-inch lines. And
Yeah.
so, you know, we did, probably about 2-3 years ago, we put together, a chart with all the information of where the hydrants are, what size they are, what kind they are, you know, the status of repair or disrepair of each hydrant, and then how many gallons per minute on average through the water modeling that each one of them could supply in the event of need for fire protection, rather than just flushing. And so, actually, I guess you would know.
Yeah.
What do you know about do you know about the bag on the hydrant over
Yeah,
there?
they put that over it when we were hooking the line up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why it's over it right now, I guess, still.
Oh, is that,
Yeah, that one's
so that
staying.
did stay?
Yeah, that's on the 4-inch line right now.
Oh, it is on the floor?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
so, go get some shears out.
Maybe they forgot to take it off.
Yeah.
I'll just talk to people service tomorrow.
Yeah.
And take care of.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did-
people-
so
they've been
people
asking me
service
what's
put it
going
on?
with
Yeah.
that.
Oh, okay.
Anything else on that then?
No.
Okay. Under new business, discussion and possible action on city administrator replacement search.
You know, obviously, we covered a lot of this in the work session. The one other action is in my interim, with me being gone as of the 13th, one of the things that a lot of cities are moving towards is using an interim city administrator. This is something that INS, through Bill Goldie, can provide. He is a former city administrator. He took care of responsibilities, I think, in Forest City and one other one, I can't remember the other community. He's been interim in, I think, 2 different communities. You know, I think he'd do a great job. He'd come in, the proposal's in the packet, he'd come in for roughly about 20 hours a week. I think that, you know, it's not a situation where you're trying to necessarily fill the seat and be in every meeting and everything like that, but merely just make sure that everything keeps moving through, papers are signed, projects are monitored, you know, discussions are taken care of with different residents on explaining what's going on, you know, just a lot of the day-to-day stuff. And, you know, that can be hammered out in 20 hours if you're not looking at some of the bigger picture items and attending all the different meetings. So, with that in mind, the proposal's in the packet, and if you want to move forward with having Bill come in that following week, then we just need to approve it so they can get it on the schedule to have him scheduled to be up here about 20 hours a week.
We just need a motion then, do we?
Well, would he come in prior to your leaving then, and then you go over stuff with him, so he would have, you know,
Yeah.
familiar with what projects are
He was
going
talking
on
about,
and need attention then, or?
and he's with INS, so he was
Right.
familiar with a lot of the projects. He had talked about, you know, just doing, obviously, us having some phone conversations and getting him up to date, and then stopping in, you know, maybe once or twice that last week to just run over the office where everything's at, and obviously Gloria knows a ton too, so. There'd be some discussions back and forth. I don't think you'd need to come in for necessarily 20 minutes that week, but
Okay.
just to get up to date. So,
Well, I'll make a motion, or what are you
Go
gonna
ahead.
say? Go ahead.
No,
yeah.
I was just gonna say, it's probably a good idea until we get our feet on the ground and, you know, get somebody, figured out, you know, to replace you.
Well,
Yeah.
that's just it, I mean, if you were talking, if,
Gloria, you,
We would love to have him.
it would help
Yeah.
tremendously. Yeah.
and believe me, Bill doesn't want to do it. It's more of a
Yes,
service.
he does, he
that-
told me he does.
Yeah, right. He doesn't want to do it. It's, you know, it's a service they provide. He's got the experience. It's not anything where he's gonna wanna stay here any longer than he absolutely has to. It's more of just taking care of what needs to be done while the position's vacant. So, don't worry about him trying to linger around for 40 hours a week or anything like that.
well, like. you
Gloria will
said-
kick him out.
Yeah, Gloria will kick him out if she gets fed up with him. And Gloria and Bill know each other. I mean, everybody in the office. Bill's stopped by. I mean, he's been here for the council, I think, once or twice. He's not as nice as Nick, but he's.
Second? If there's been a motion, if there hasn't been, I'll make a motion that we go.
Would John
John
made a motion.
Okay.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Besides that, I think we covered everything else under the work session, so I don't think there's any more conversation that needs to occur there.
Good. Discuss traffic lights on Sumner Avenue.
This was a request from somebody in town here to have it on there. The only reason I put it on, normally if somebody approaches me on something, I don't immediately put it on the agenda, but I have had it brought up probably about 3 or 4 times over the last few years, and rather
They talked to
than-
me about it, and I think a couple of the other council members too.
Yeah.
Hasn't they talked to you about it also?
I had one
Yeah.
resident mention to me about it, yeah, at the
I think it might have been the
RVTV,
same resident.
probably,
His
our
first name Mike?
RVTV event.
I think it might have been the
downtown,
same
so-
resident.
His first name, Mike?
I think it might have been same resident.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to have it on there, you know, it is what it is. I think the lights work fine.
They do.
They don't create a
I
lot
think
of.
the lights are great.
They don't create a lot of costs. They're not expensive to run.
But on the other hand, we move traffic through a lot more. I drive down to Fort Dodge a lot, and with the stop signs on Main Street instead of the stop lights, it is a benefit.
It gives people time to stop and look around.
It is a benefit to get across town, so
Yeah.
I can see it working both ways. Because I travel up and down Main Street, and you're sitting there for 5 minutes or so sometimes, and there's not a soul around.
It isn't as long as you think. but it
Taking the
does feel
beauty
like
of the
a long
city.
time.
Yeah, but I got better things to do.
Yeah, we're only talking about a
I time it.
4
Yeah,
It's
4 blocks.
72 seconds.
You know what, I mean,
Fifth Street is 72 seconds.
And 2 lights turn at the same time,
Yeah.
so if you just
First one's gonna
drive 15 or 20, you get through the second without a
Yeah.
problem. If you make that one, you almost make the other 2 anyway, so it's, if you're just coasting even, so.
So, yeah, that's the only reason it's on there.
So we talked about it then.
There you go.
All right.
okay.
Next up, we need a motion to approve a 5-day special Class C liquor license for the Humboldt Area Arts Council effective October 23rd to 7th, 2015.
Everything's in order and it's for their event on the 24th.
This is one at the fairgrounds.
Yes.
Move it approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Next, we need a motion to approve a street closure request from Ryan Bowman on behalf of the Three Rivers Trail Run on Saturday, October 24th, 2015, from 7 a.m. to 1 o'clock.
The closures on Second Avenue next to Taft Park, same closure as previous years, and allows for the runners to get started in this area free of any traffic or any issues. They do run through the rest of the community, but they start off at that point.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, discuss request from MS and Sons for an adjustment of water sewer charges.
This is an interesting issue. The meter at MS Sons was operating correctly, but was not being read because the radio read was never hooked back up after renovations were completed, which created a zero usage read for over a year. And once the issue was discovered, the radio read was hooked up, full usage appeared. So everything had been metered the whole time, but just not communicated to the city through that radio read. The adjustment that's being requested is not to adjust off the water, but rather to adjust water that was not discharged to the sewer. They flush tanks and use that for dust control to spread it out in their yard when they use those tanks and fill up those tanks. And so he did not realize that they were pulling the water from the city side, because they also have a well back there. He did not realize that they were pulling it from the city side. When he noticed that, he had them switch it over to the well water rather than city water. And so he's asking for us to take a look at the difference that occurs from the previous months to this month. And you can see a large difference in water usage, and he believes that's where it's coming from. And so just adjusting whatever that difference is based off that water usage. They tend to have pretty consistent water numbers, so I don't think that there's a lot of chance for fluctuation affecting it. So let's see.
What is their bill right now? Which was it for
The catch-up was about 78,000, no, sorry, 72,000. Not 72,000, 7,200.
I was
The
gonna
bill
say,
was,
whoa.
yeah, the gallons was.
The gallons,
565,000.
565,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just added a zero, no difference.
We'll make some money for the water plant.
Yeah, exactly. We need some improvements, right? No, 7,200.
And what would you estimate? Like $1,000 of that, or $1,500? I mean, what, any guess on estimation of how
I
much
mean,
we're talking for?
you were.
The average in that period of time that meter was in there is probably about 2.5 times what their normal average is. So we'd have to do a little figuring to figure out how much it's probably their actual charges should be probably about a third maybe of what,
Yeah, and there is gonna
what they
be.
were billed.
Because the
And they were-
water's still gonna be there, it's just, we're
Mhm.
just,
It's just the sewer, and
Just the
the total
sewer,
sewer
yeah.
charge was $3,642.
And they did start using more water for other purposes, so the water should have went up no matter what, because they were using less well water for a lot of the things that they're running up there. But that specific usage, filling tanks, is gonna be a considerable amount, I think, that they were pulling that they didn't need to. So they'd still pay for the water charge. The reason that the sewer adjustment has to come before the council rather than something that falls under our adjustment policy is because it's not an accidental usage. I mean, they intentionally discharge water from the faucet to, fill these tanks. And so if it was
it's not like a
accidental.
broken pipe or something.
Yeah, if it was an accidental discharge, this would actually be something that we could just take care of in the administration office. But because there's no accidental discharge, there's no way for us to adjust.
I can't believe we didn't figure out zero usage.
Wow.
Well, it's several different ways. I mean, we didn't catch it, but there was also renovations going on, so you don't know necessarily what's going on with the water usage. Knowing that they have a well up there, you don't know if they're pulling off the well for a lot of that usage. And the flip side is, they see dramatically decreased bills, and that wasn't caught. But, it's certainly something we've changed. Normally, before we were handing meters and equipment out to plumbers for them, because it was a convenience issue of, a plumber goes in, and they complete the house, they want to get a closeout, get the meter installed, and get the water going. And so it was just easier to go through that route. Well, easier doesn't necessarily operate better, because if people service goes in, then they're looking at, is this meter hooked up right? Where's the reader? Is that hooked up right? And those are things that, you can still put water through a meter all day long and not hook up a reader. And so if that's not hooked up, then what we're getting back is not the information that's accurate to what's going through the meter, because it's not feeding any numbers to it. So that was just what we did is we said, from now on, the meters are only put in by people service. And so I'm sure that's gonna lead to some unhappiness, but this is the reason that you do things like that, is you make sure that when you go in and it's taken care of, that it's actually hooked up correctly.
So MS and Sons is asking us to waive what dollar amount for the
sewer,
fees?
the sewer charge.
The
Well, it'll be, it's undetermined at this point.
Oh, okay.
Once we set the, what the difference is between water usage on this next go-around versus what they have had over the last few months, or last year, then you'll be able to figure out whatever that difference was, is just decreased water usage from being used on tanks.
I thought you weren't allowed to have a well and city.
I think the well's been there forever.
The well is, it's
The
probably. not that
grandfathered
big.
wells are allowed.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, in one system, same system, so you don't get cross-contamination.
Yeah, the well was being charged previously as a discharge to the sewer. And so what we would do is meter the amount of water and then bill them back for whatever the sewer usage was. They've stopped using the well for anything that would go towards the sewer and just switched over to city water. They did that a while ago because it helped out in there, something with their
So the
process
two aren't
helped out.
attached?
Yeah, so they're not feeding
Okay.
in with the well. They are using it, like there's plenty of places that have wells for irrigation purposes, or, like I think Dodgen has one in the back, in his yard. and
Yep.
I think that one's probably over 100 years old or something.
Only bad thing if ever filled out of the well, and then they decide just, if it's cold out, just to dump into the city. We're not metering that now, so we
Oh,
actually are treating water that
Yeah.
could be treating water at some point
Yeah.
that we're not getting paid for it. So
Yeah.
it's, or either, on either side anyway, so it's, I can see where there could be. That's the only bad thing about having the two
Yeah.
together and stuff anyway, is there could be people working there might not know that and fill up the tank and decide it's not gonna spread outside, because it might freeze, so then they dump them back into the line inside or something, and there goes
yeah.
Yeah,
several thousand gallons or something that we're treating that we're not getting paid for, so that's.
yeah, it's not an ideal situation, I think, unless. we-
Not
unless-
on a high water usage person anyway, if they're using, tens of thousands of gallons or something, for cleaning, then that gets to be, could be a problem anyway at some point. I'm not saying it ever would be, but it has a potential for it if,
Mhm.
Well, I thought we didn't make any adjustments like this anyway, as far as water usage. I thought that's been the office procedure in the past.
No, we don't make adjustments, except for the one adjustment we do make is for sewage charges.
Oh, okay.
So if it's sewage charge and water
Okay.
has not been discharged to the sewer, and it can be, essentially, there's some way to prove that.
I just
And-
recall there was a gentleman in here that had a broken toilet that had high